Hello, everybody. I am not set up correctly. Now we are. Welcome to In the Clubhouse with the Nats Report. My name is Hayden Raymer. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely friend and co-host.
Jeremy Lapidus.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. How you doing today, Jeremy?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a bit since we've done this, so I'm excited for some
Yes.
baseball because it's we're a quarter way into the season now. We can start to see some real trends as opposed to just being, in the moment reactions kind of stuff.
Yeah. No. It's been. I mean, we're what? A little over a third of the way in, right? No, a little over a quarter.
Hello?
Hello?
I cannot hear you,
You can't
by
hear
the
me.
way.
I know
You're
why.
muted.
I know why. I know why. You can hear me now though.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We're on all the technical difficulties to start the show. It's been a month since we done a show. Uh, and I think it's showing right now. Anyways, yeah, no, we're a little over a quarter of the way through the season. So, you know, there's gonna be more stuff to talk about rather than like a week or two, which is the last time we did a show. Uh, we could draw a few more conclusions, like you said. Uh, but yeah, no, I'm excited to talk baseball with you, Jeremy. It's been a long time, and talking baseball with you is always a blast. Uh, I guess kind of the question is, where do we even start when it comes to breaking down this season and how it's unfolded?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places to start. I think maybe the most pressing place to start is how about the Nationals being 500 right now?
Yeah, no, I
Not
mean, it's it's strange. I mean, I don't think they're not quite 500. They're hovering around there. They're 476. But I mean, they're definitely doing better than I thought they would be doing to start the year, heading into the season, I think I expected a 60 win team. I don't know about you.
yeah. Like I was saying, my optimistic, my most optimistic layout for this team this season was 80 wins. Most optimistic. More realistically, 70, 65, somewhere in that range. Uh, but I mean, they're doing better than I expected, than almost everybody expected. And I think that has a lot to do with their pitching. Their pitching has been leagues better than it was last season, with a lot of the same guys that were getting destroyed in seasons past.
Yeah, no, I mean, heading into the year, I think you and I, in one of the early shows, we were talking about how, like, this is probably the best Nats bullpen, definitely in recent years, maybe ever on paper. Hunter Harvey is, like a legit, like, a guy who's like a top 20 bullpen arm in the league. Kyle Finnegan is a really solid pitcher. Uh, Floro, had some bad luck last year when it comes to like run prevention, but his like underlying numbers were really good. Robert Garcia was like insane for the Nats. And then, you throw in, Jose Ferrer, who's been hurt. Uh, but he had a solid year. In his age 23 season. You hope Tanner Rainey was going to be good, bouncing back from Tommy John. Uh, and I mean, they kind of have lived up to that.
Yeah. No, they have. The bullpen has been really solid, and you're getting some good starting pitching as well. The biggest number that pops out to me for their pitching, starting pitching especially, is the now again, we're only a quarter of the way through the season, but is the lack of home runs that they're giving up by the starters. Last season, Trevor Williams, just for an example, he's been this might be the best start of his entire career. He led the league. He might have been the worst pitcher in all of baseball. He led the league in home runs given up, and I believe he's given up just one or zero so far this season. Uh,
One. He gave one
and
up in
it's
his
been the
last
same
start.
kind of trend. Yeah, it's been the same kind of trend for the entirety of the Nats pitching staff, their starting pitching staff. They've been doing a lot better job of keeping the ball in the ballpark, even if they're not, being great. I mean, Patrick Corbin even has been doing a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. Like, you're not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Patrick Corbin's been good. I can't do that. But what I can do is say that he's kept the ball out. He's kept the ball in play. So that's a little plus right there for everyone on the Nats pitching staff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Williams, I forget exactly where he ranked. Uh, but yeah, like, he was ranked within like the Nats longest homerless streak dating back to last season. Uh, and I mean, for him to kind of bounce back from that, and all the other numbers are kind of trending slightly up. I mean, he's the best pitcher on the Nats right now, which I don't think anybody uh would have said he was a top three pitcher on the Nationals heading into the season. So for him to do that has been absolutely huge. Uh, and I mean, like you said, I mean Corbin's been serviceable, which is better than in years past.
Right. And I mean, if you look at we did our 40 and 40 series for the pitchers, we talked about how you look for Corbin and Williams to get replaced down the stretch in that starting rotation. If Williams can keep this up, he's not even in that conversation anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, he is in conversation to be replaced, but it's more because the Nats traded him away for a
Right.
prospect or two rather than getting DFA'd, which is kind of where we kind of expected that to go. Uh, Another big storyline with like this rotation and just the pitching in general has been Mitchell Parker, who stepped up after Josiah Gray went on the IL. Uh, I guess for me, kind of the conclusion or the lack of conclusion, I guess, for better words, is who is slash what is Mitchell Parker at the major league level. If you look at those first three starts, he had a 1.69 ERA and a 1.73 FIP. He threw 12 innings uh, in those starts, and then, or might have been 16. Uh, and then in those last three starts, a 4.5 ERA and a 5.11 FIP. Uh, so drastically different. One's you know, Hall of Fame, like unprecedented level of success type pitcher if he carries that out, and then now he's the worst pitcher on the staff. So I mean, for you, Jeremy, like kind of what is slash who is Mitchell Parker?
So Mitchell Parker is a guy who, I mean, you kind of talked about it. He came into the league with a bang against some really tough opponents. He comes in against the Dodgers. His first start plays incredible. You go and then he goes. He kind of cools down a little bit. I think other teams kind of got a chance to scout him, and I think that's been part of the downturn for him. Now, he hasn't been awful. He hasn't been great. I know, so he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been awful down the stretch. I mean, you look at his last 5 starts, he's still giving you, basically 5 innings every single time, giving up less than he hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in his last 5 starts. Um, but it's definitely, if you were expecting him to keep up that insane pace from his first couple starts of his career, I feel like that's a little bit unfair. Teams are going to get to know him a little better. They're going to be able to scout against him, get hitters prepared, uh, really see what he's got, and I think that he's starting to come to average to where he's gonna round out to be just it like a solid 4 or 5 backer rotation starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the year, I mean, when we did our top prospect list, he was not near that top of that list at all. He was in the 20s. So for the Nationals to kind of get this even the the amalgamation of these two halves of his 6 starts uh, is really good. I mean, the Nationals have historically not gotten any production out of their lower end draft prospects, and it's kind of only been those first overall guys. So for them to get something out of a fifth round pick, even if it's for like 9 starts, that's a win. Especially with I mean last season and in this season, Jake Irvin stepped up to be kind of a guy who I don't know what his ceiling is within the Nationals, but I mean he's definitely in their plans for their contention window now.
Right. And I think you can kind of look at these two guys, Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker, in a similar light, right? Maybe I think Jake Irvin has a higher ceiling, or maybe just a higher floor, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're very similar. They kind of came out of nowhere, and they've done a very good job. Again, it's early for Mitchell Parker, so I'm gonna say these broad statements, but they could change. Um, they've sort of established a role. Jake Irvin, especially what he did down the stretch last season, as a valuable piece for. I mean, having young guys that can step in and even back of rotation starters for where the Nationals are as a team right now. Being able to find those guys young and in your system is huge. You don't have to go out and you don't have to overspend on a free agent. You don't have to go out and spend on another Trevor Williams kind of guy. So it's valuable to get these pieces in now. Know what you have for the depth of this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I can both agree. This summer is gonna be interesting. When Josiah Gray, who's been kind of ramping back up, when he returns, and Cade Cavalli, who he kind of becomes an afterthought with the Nat system, but I mean, he's been, that he was the pitching prospect for the Nationals. So for him to get those two guys back, the sky's kind of the limits for what this rotation looks like at the end of this season and at the start of 2025. Which I mean, it's starting to seem like despite no matter what this team does uh, to start this year, their goal is to be competitive at the start of 2025, and they're not really trying to do much this year.
Right, and it's nice because there isn't a lot of pressure on this team. They can just kind of go out there and have fun. And finishing off, you talk about Cade Cavalli being an afterthought. That's one way to look at it. The other way is you have a richness at that position. We talk about being able to the depth here, right? We'd have six potential starters that are all young at this point. Cade Cavalli and Jackson Rutledge being thrown up in there as well. That's six guys that you know you can kind of count on to be there, or you can trade one of them if someone goes down. You have them there. It's a really good resource to have. And if one of them just doesn't pan out, you have someone in the back burner waiting to go. So the Nats are in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, no, I mean when I say he's an afterthought, I'm more talking about like nationally. Uh, you know, he's kind of forgotten a little bit. Uh, I
Right.
mean, one last question for you before we move on. They kind of talk about, some of the other, the bullpen maybe. Is Gore an ace now? I
I
mean,
mean,
obviously he's the best starter on the team. But like, the ace is like, like a top 15 starter in baseball. Is he an ace?
right. I don't think I would call him an ace. Now, if there's anyone on this staff with ace potential, it's him. No doubt about it in his mind. In my mind, uh, the just the stuff that he has. You can see it. You can look at some of the just what he does when he's on. He's just not consistent enough to be an ace yet. And that's kind of been his issue, or that's kind of been his downfall, I guess, for the last couple seasons. Really, ever since he's got here. I mean, you could even go back to when he was in San Diego, his first season before we got him in that trade. He was on a tear. There were talks he would win Rookie of the Year, and then he gets hurt. He flashed that ace potential so many times. He's just not consistent enough to be in that ace conversation yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I agree. It's just, like that's. I mean, we gotta ask questions here. Uh, Gore is. I don't think he's has the highest ceiling of anybody on the Nats though, pitching wise. I do think Cavalli has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just from what I've seen from Cavalli, I have more faith that he'll be consistent. More like I have more of that consistency that you talk about. Gore for him, he kind of tends to what's the word? He loses his command a little too often, and that's not something that I've really seen. I mean, like he did lose it. He just never really found that command at the start. But when he did find the command, I don't think he's gonna lose it. I don't know. It's just a vibes thing, I guess. Which I mean, sometimes that's all baseball is it's just you get a vibe about a guy, uh, and you kind of just gotta stick with that. And sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. That's baseball.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Yeah, maybe not the best analysis, but that's just I don't know. Like I just got that vibe, and yeah, I don't know. Bullpen Jeremy. Who's impressed you outside of Hunter Harvey? Hunter Harvey's the easy answer. I'm not letting you take the easy answer. Because Hunter Harvey's been amazing.
Who's impressed me in the bullpen?
Yeah,
Uh, you know, Derek Law's been really good, I think.
yeah,
Uh, he's one of those guys that he's not being put in those high leverage situations, you know? He's just coming out there in games that, they're either up big or they're down big and he's getting the job done. He's already got 4 decisions early in this 2024 season. He's 3 and 1 uh and 3.08 3.08, yeah, I said that right. ERA. Uh is pretty solid for a relief pitcher. Like I said, he's not getting that higher leverage. He's not getting in those high leverage situations, but we're starting to see him get relied on more and more in more like setup roles, and I think he's done a really good job as he gets more important innings in this bullpen.
yeah. No, absolutely. He's kind of. I mean, even if like I don't even think his ERA is kind of representative of the pitcher he is, because a lot of the times early in the season, it felt like he was thrown into these like, hey, Derek Law, there's one out and there's runners on first and second. Good luck, man. Like, and it's hard for anybody to succeed in those uh situations. And when you're throwing them in that constantly, it's just they're probably not going to do the greatest. That's the big thing for like relievers is like they love that clean inning. Uh, and you kind of just take that away from them when you do that. And that's been a lot of criticism of Davey. I feel like throughout this year. And then of course now when they follow that with like Trevor Williams and like keeping these guys on these clean innings, not letting them get into those okay cool you let a runner on now we're taking you out like situations. I know Davey's getting yelled at for that, which is just yeah. There's no winning sometimes. The guy I've been impressed by Jacob Barnes, man. Jacob Barnes has been really good. Uh, yeah, no, I mean he's been really good. I was a little shocked the other Matt Barnes, the other Barnes, uh, got DFA'd. Maybe there's just too many Barnes on the roster. I don't know. Uh, but I mean he I mean he had some good pitches. He just didn't have a good fastball, which I mean kind of sucks as a major league pitcher. But like his splitter and his knuckle curve were really good. So I don't know. Uh, did you have any other thoughts about the pitching staff?
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of just touched on it in general, but you said I couldn't. I want to give Hunter Harvey his flowers. I
Okay,
really do.
seventh best
He's been
pitcher,
awesome.
seventh best reliever in baseball. Uh,
He's been really good. I I,
yeah,
I don't I just I don't want to gloss over him.
yeah,
I want to give him his
yeah.
shine real quick.
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
He's been so good. He's really stepped into that into the role that they've needed him to be, and mean, just look at the numbers. You said like top 10 pitcher in baseball right now is insane.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the seventh most valuable reliever in baseball. Uh, I mean, he hasn't been like striking out the world like a lot of the relievers have, but I mean, like a lot of the pitchers on the Nats, they've just avoided the home run this year. Him especially. Uh, and it turns out, home runs really raise that ERA. Who would have thought? Uh,
Who would have thought?
who would have thought a guaranteed run is bad for your ERA? Not me. But hey, they're doing well. He's doing well. We'll take that. Uh, I guess where do we go now, Jeremy? We could talk about some minor leaguers. We got a question about minor leaguers in chat. Or we could talk about some of the offensive struggles that the Nats have been
Why
dealing
don't we
with.
talk about the minor leaguers? We're all about the chat. What's the question?
Well, I mean, they were just like, Richard was just asking, what about minor league prospects? Obviously, there's one that's kind of on the forefront of everybody's mind. Always on my mind personally. Never stop thinking about him. Some would call it an
Tattooed on our
obsession.
brains.
He lives rent free. I mean, they don't even need to pay for his rent. He can just live here all day. That's James Wood. Uh, Jeremy, we talked a lot about James Wood. When is James Wood getting called up? I've talked, written, tweeted, so much about James Wood. So I want you to start. When is James Wood getting called up, in your expert opinion?
Well, if it was up to me, he would have been called up opening day.
Yeah,
But clearly, it's not up to me.
yeah,
Um, it feels like it is so hard for the Nats to not call up James Wood right now. I feel like if I was in a room with Mike Rizzo and I said the name James Wood, he would be like, "Oh, but we have to wait." Uh, it's a really tough situation because, like we've talked about, their goal for this season is nothing. Their goal for this season is prepare for next season. And James Wood is that centerpiece. We all see it. Everyone in the Nationals media sees it. James Wood is incredible. Uh,
yeah.
but he's not going to get called up until the service time manipulation can get done. And I'm not sure exactly what that date is, but
Uh, yeah. They're
that's
trying
what
to
it's going to
avoid
be.
the Super Two date. Which every year gets like earlier and earlier now that we're not like manipulating as much service time and trying to get our PPI picks. Uh, but yeah, no, I mean, because they just don't want him to. They want the 3 years of non-ARB control, where he's getting
Right.
paid around the league minimum. Because assuming James Wood is, as good as we all think he is, pretty much every outlet has him above Dylan Cruz now. He's probably a consensus top five prospect. Uh, the Nationals, like we said, aren't trying to win this year. Uh, he's gonna get called up at the end of August.
Yeah.
And you wanna know
Yeah,
why,
that
Jeremy?
sounds about right.
You wanna know why, Jeremy?
'Cause that's when the rosters expand.
No, 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 not at the not like the end of August. Like he's gonna get called up like August 22nd or 23rd, something like that. Uh, you wanna know why?
Why is that?
Because then he still maintains rookie status for 2025. That's the maximum amount of time that he can be on that roster is around that date. And when he has a full year of service time and he's a rookie, he gets he can get that PPI pick. It
Yeah.
always comes back to
I
those
mean,
prospects for promotion incentive picks, man. Always.
yeah, I mean that's what it is. And honestly, it's the smart move, but it kind of sucks. I
It
want to see him
does.
in the majors.
I mean, it's
I
really
like
hard when you are like one of the worst offensive teams in baseball. You're near 500, and you have a 21-year-old outfielder who's hitting 354, 453, 583 in AAA,
us.
has a 170 WRC plus, uh, which is the highest among all qualified hitters in the International League, 23 or younger. The next highest is 149. He's 70% better than the average international league hitter, and he's 21. Like it's hard not to call him up. Like,
Yeah. No, it's so hard. But if I'm putting myself in a front office situation,
yep,
what the Nationals are doing is the right move.
absolutely.
But I'm a Nationals fan, and I would like to see him in a Nationals jersey at Nationals Park hitting some home runs. Uh, that's what I would like to see. So it's tough with the clashing brains right now.
Yeah, no, it is tough. I mean, other prospects we're gonna give some flowers to real quick. Dylan Cruz seems to finally be figuring it out. He hates sitting in Harrisburg. Uh, like his home away splits. Somebody should write about that because it's insane. Robert Hassel III has been not quite as hot as he was in spring training, but he's been good. And then Brady House is but he's been pretty hot lately. He's had a lot of dingers. Uh, yeah, I mean that Double A team is just stacked with prospects, man. Yohani Morales is
No,
a
that
top
double.
100 guy now. Like
Mhm.
it's
No,
ridiculous out there.
like I was saying, the future of this Nats team is bright. It's right around the corner. I can see it. I can see them in the distance.
Yep,
They're just
they're
it's
standing
so
there,
close.
pointing and laughing at you. Like not yet, bud. You gotta keep waiting. Uh, but yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be nice if the Nats had hitters?
That'd be pretty cool
That
if
that's
they had
that's that's
hitters.
my segue. We're gonna talk about the Nats and their offensive struggles. Uh, the Nats, who are a bottom five offense in baseball. Uh, Jeremy, where do we even start with talking about an offense this bad?
Well, let's start with the good.
Okay,
Why don't we?
okay.
Luis Garcia, C.J. Abrams have been good. Uh, that's about it.
Jesse Winker's been good. Ildemaro Vargas has been one of the better hitters on this team. Uh, I'm trying to remember who the fifth guy is. Abrams, Garcia, Winker,
Jacob Young has been
Vargas.
solid at the
He's been
plate.
solid. Senzel's been good. Senzel's been above average as a hitter. Which I mean, at that point, like you take somebody who's above average right now.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, the Nats offense has been bad. Uh, very bad actually. Uh, they can't score runs. I mean, maybe the best example of this is the most recent example. They got shut out by the White Sox 2 games in a row.
By
Uh,
Eric Fetty, no less.
yeah, I mean, let's give some flowers to Eric
Let's
Fetty.
give
He's
his
like
flowers
4
to
and 0
Eric
with a
Fetty's.
sub 3 ERA. All right, like
No, I
on a
know.
bad White Sox team too.
He
Like
did something he had done uh only twice prior in his career. Uh, which is like go like 7 innings, strike out six. Or go at least seven, strike out at least six. You want to know the other times he did that?
what's that?
In 2021 against the Mets, and then earlier this year.
He's been really good this
He
season.
has been really good.
Like surprisingly.
Yeah,
The year off in where was he? Korea?
yeah, he was in Korea. The posted
It
a
did wonders
story
for him.
on him back in like October, but yeah, no, pitching lab, pitch shape, man. He learned about it, and then he was like, I'm good now. It's crazy. What I mean, if only the Nationals could hire a guy who could teach our pitchers about pitching. It would be through a modern lens, even no less.
If only.
If only. We don't care what those nerds think. We're a real franchise.
That's right.
That's right.
Old school baseball.
Old school baseball. Scrappy Nats, man.
But yeah, no, it's been bad. It doesn't help that some of those bats you were relying on are injured and underperforming. Lane Thomas, Joey Gallo, while they weren't being great while they were healthy, are both hurt, and it doesn't help because regardless of how they're doing, they add some pop to the lineup, and this lineup needs pop. Uh, Eddie Rosario has had just won National League Player of the Week.
Yes, he
If he
did.
can keep this up, that'd be really cool. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, he was
he's
the worst player in baseball in April. So, like, what's I mean, even if it's just like a slightly worse Eddie Rosario, like we're making improvements there. I'm not ready to throw Eddie Rosario off the lineup like many people were. Jeremy, can we talk about the elephant in the room?
yeah, yeah, we can.
I know you are, his biggest fan, his biggest supporter.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
avoiding him.
and I don't think we can, Jeremy. Uh, Joey Meneses is hitting 226 with a 297
He's
on
an
base
RBI
percentage,
machine, Hayden.
with a 297 on base percentage and a 274 slugging. Okay. Uh, Not great from your first baseman slash designated hitter. Uh,
No,
Now in the offseason, right? You and I had a conversation. That should go add like a left-handed bat and let Joey Meneses platoon with him, right? Theoretically, Joey Meneses would be a better hitter against left-handed pitching. Well, that's where you would be
yeah,
wrong this season, Jeremy. Because this season, Joey Meneses is hitting 128 with a 212 on base percentage and a 149 slugging percentage. He has a WRC plus, right? Which, 100 is average, and then, whatever, 105 would be 5% better than average. 190 would be 90% better than average. 80 would be 20% worse than average, right? It contextualizes it to the league environment and their park that they're playing in. You know, a solid stat. It's not an all be all, but, it's probably the best that we have to quantify, offensive production. Against left handed pitching, his WRC plus is 5. Uh, So, for those of you at home, that means he is 95% worse than the league average hitter. So, league average against left-handed pitching. Uh, Assuming Joey Gallo is going to be up here on Thursday, or no, today's Thursday, on Friday, I don't think you could justify rostering Joey Meneses anymore.
no, you can't. He's been awful at the plate. Uh, yeah, I mean, this is really what it comes down to. He always he never was going to be here long term. You know, he always was going to be like the face of the rebuild Nats,
Yeah,
right?
he was the
Uh,
captain of the
right.
tank commander.
Take commander Joey Meneses.
Yes,
Uh, right. He comes up right after we trade Juan Soto, and he has his little run, right? Little heroic run, cements himself as tank commander.
yes.
Uh, and then he kind of just falls back to what he is. You know, there's as much as I hate to say it, there's a reason he didn't get called up until he was 30.
Yeah.
You know, um, and it's not all bad. Like it's not good at all.
This is the
It's
worst
actually
it's
pretty
been.
much all
This
bad.
is the worst it's been.
But
I thought last year was bad.
he's leading the team in RBIs.
You want to know
You
why,
know,
Jeremy?
why
Because
is that?
despite him hitting 226 with a 297 on base percentage and a 274 slugging percentage, he is the four-hole hitter night after night. Like,
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
the worst hitter on the team right now. And he is somehow, okay, not the worst. Kybert Ruiz, who lost 20 pounds when he had the flu, uh, is the worst hitter on the team. But like he's somehow like it just doesn't make sense, man.
No, no, it doesn't. And it kind of is a good place to end Joey Meneses because, like we were saying, next season is the year, right? There's no spot for him after this season, and maybe they ride him out for this year because tank commander status. But uh, no, this is his last year, regardless of how long he's here for. Uh, yeah, that's really what it comes down to. His time is up in Washington, and maybe he'll find a role somewhere else. I doubt it, but maybe he'll find a role somewhere else. But
No.
no, no, he won't.
No, and he won't even. He'll just get optioned, Jeremy. He's gonna still be on the 40 man.
Yeah,
Uh, he probably will still be on the 26 man roster. They'll probably just bench him. Cause who's gonna play
yeah.
first base if Gallo doesn't play first base?
There's people that can play first. You could when Stone Garrett comes up, he's getting his at bats down in the minors. He's not ready yet, but he's getting his at bats in the minors. Uh, he can play first. Uh,
They've been playing him in right field and left field, Jeremy. He'll probably stay on the roster, which okay, fine. I don't know, man. Uh, and I mean the other elephant in the room, right? I guess is Kyber Ruiz, who got that giant extension, and Riley Adams was good while he was sick. He's really cooled off lately. I have a fun stat for you, Jeremy. Uh, Catchers since Kyber Ruiz returned from the IL, which was April 25th, have hit 174 with a 238 on base and 289 slugging. Okay, just sorry, gonna throw a rock again, or whatever the phrase is. Uh, Remember, Joey Meneses' slugging percentage is 274. So they're still slugging better than Joey Meneses despite hitting 174. Just wanted to remind everybody at home about that. Uh, yeah, it's been the catching's been bad. Defensively, they're not really offering much either. Uh, I it's just I don't know uh where they kind of go from there. I mean, they got Drew Mealis in the minors, obviously. He's been doing really well down there. Uh, Kyber doesn't have options, so then do you send down Riley Adams?
I mean, you shouldn't be rostering three catchers,
No,
so you don't really have a choice, and you can't send down Kyber Ruiz.
no, physically cannot unless you DFA him.
Yeah,
Which reminder, he
so it's
lost 20
it's
pounds like 2 weeks ago.
it's just personal preference how they want to build this team. Do they want the more offensive minded guy or the defensive minded guy as the backup catcher?
I mean, I just like Jeremy, the Nats have the worst defensive backstops in the major leagues.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know how you could, I don't know. Like, at least Milas is like a foil. We talk about foils and like writing and stuff, but like they go well together a little bit. Like when Ruiz is right, like he's a really great offensive catcher who can't catch. Uh, and when Milas is going, he's a solid offensive catcher who plays great defense. That's a great combination there. Match made in heaven,
yeah.
some might say. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh, so Jeremy, I know Gallo's returning. What is like your dream like roster looking like? Assuming James Wood isn't getting called up, what is this Nats roster gonna look like in like 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, I guess I'll give you a starting lineup as opposed to a 26-man roster.
Well, yeah. Give me
Uh,
a lineup.
so we'll start in the infield. Catcher, Kyber Ruiz. I mean, he'll put the weight back on
Yeah,
eventually, right?
eventually
And
he'll
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 figure it
get
out,
he'll get right.
right? Kyber Ruiz at catcher. First base, Joey Gallo when he gets back. I don't know when he'll be back, but he should be back soon. Uh, Second base, obviously, Luis Garcia. Shortstop, C.J. Abrams. Third base, Nick Senzel. Uh, Maybe Ildemaro Vargas there. Put Nick Senzel at DH, but whatever. Jesse Winker in
Yeah,
left field. Uh, Center field, probably Jacob Young, and then Lane Thomas and right.
Yeah.
Uh, you can play around with that DH spot a lot. Maybe you want some Trey Lipscomb at bats. Maybe you want some more Eddie Rosario at bats. Maybe you want to give Riley Adams some at bats. But that's the general outlook of what the Nats lineup should probably look like in a month.
Yeah, I pretty much have the same thing. I have Rosario in left field and Winker at DH, and then Senzel at third. I even went as far to write my bench out, Jeremy. I
Oh,
came prepped. Uh,
oh my
I
God.
I got Drew Mealis as the backup catcher because remember, Riley Adams has an option remaining. We're setting him down. He's going to AAA, getting every day at bats. Uh, Vic is our fourth outfielder. He'll come in
Mhm.
when Eddie Rosario needs to sit against left-handed pitching. Uh, Maybe he'll even come in when Winker needs to sit against left-handed pitching. They're both pretty bad against left-handed pitching. I'm gonna be honest. Nats don't have enough right-handed bats. I'm gonna be honest. I got Nissim Nunez because this guy is on the roster, and
He's on the roster. He's here.
I don't think he's leaving. As much as he just doesn't get playing time, and I feel really bad because his development's ruined as a prospect. Uh, and then I got Vargas because he's the best hitter on the team right now.
He's not going anywhere either, regardless of how good of a hitter he is. He's the locker room.
He's the locker room. He's the entire locker room. And then before we move on, uh, CJ Abrams is in a slump, Jeremy.
It is.
He's
He
sitting.
is.
I have his slash line in May. Uh, let's just say it is Joey Meneses against lefties esque. Uh, and we're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna talk about some draft stuff real quick, and then we can. I mean, we've been running for a long time. We can. Or do you want to save draft for next time?
It's up to you. We got some time until the draft, so unless there's something pressing, I think we can save it to next time.
No, we can save it for next week. So yeah. I mean, did you have any other closing thoughts?
No, I think we did a good job. There's a lot to cover with this Nats team. There's a
Yeah.
lot of surprises, a lot of changes to be coming. So we'll keep our fingers on the pulse, eye out on everything Nationals. But yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a time of change. Everything's going to be changing around the Nats, so don't get too comfortable with a lot of people on this team.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. And of course, after getting shut out twice against the Chicago White Sox, worst team in baseball, the Nats are now going to have to go face arguably the best team in the majors, the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah,
And they're gonna have to face. They definitely have the best starting rotation in baseball. So it's gonna be a good weekend series. Uh, if you guys want to stick around, we'll be back live not on this specific page, but on the channel in about like 10-15 minutes, talking about just general MLB stuff for our new show here on the Nats Report. If not, and you're listening, after, go ahead and check out Rounding Third. Good show, good show. We'll see you all next week. Next week, yeah, we'll see you all next week. Talking about this weekend series and the series is of that week. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming into Clubhouse, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.